Hey y'all, it's Cyber Saloon. So I wanted to go over Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. I think it's a really solid way to kind of round out Sword Art Online as a series. I've gone over seasons 1 through 3, and I've gone over both progressive films, and I kind of really wanted to go out on the high note of Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale, I would argue, is the best movie of all the Sword Art Online movies we have gotten so far. And I think it's also one of Sword Art Online's best content. Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale was completely anime original. Of course, it does connect a little bit to what would happen in the events of season 3, but Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale is a very special movie in that the amount of momentum and kind of when it released, we've never really seen that from Sword Art Online again. And what I mean by that, I saw Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale in theaters when it came out in my college town. And I remember when I was going in there, I remember how excited everyone was online about, a Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. Sword Art Online had this massive just amount of hype behind it. And I think there's a lot of things going for that. So Sword Art Online seasons 1 and 2, not seasons 1 and 2, but Sword Art Online season 2, there was still the fan base was still really active. You still had a lot of people who that were getting into anime, and people. Sword Art Online was their big kind of gateway that was getting them in the anime with Sword Art Online. There was such a fervor in the Sword Art Online community. Everyone was so excited about it. It was really active. You had this new movie coming out. That first trailer they released for it was super hype with the Augma, and it was one of the main reasons I think it kind of rode a wave of popularity. It was one of those moments of it hit in the right place at the right time. And what I mean, the fan base was really fervor. They're really active. It was a lot more lively than it is now. But I think the big thing why Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale just kind of hit that sweet spot, Pokemon Go. And this is why I say it. I remember around the time Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale came out, everyone and their mother was going out and trying to catch a motherfucking Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Going into people's private property, getting shot at, going out at 2 a.m. on the streets. Everyone was playing that game. And the whole premise for Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale, kind of a similar kind of aspect. You were going out again, all my friends at the time were playing Pokemon. They would try to pick me up at midnight. It's oh, we gotta go get some motherfucking Pokemon. I'm just and I didn't really play it too much of the time, but I was it was just a fun activity to kind of go out and play with your friends and sort of. And this is not obviously just a U.S. thing. It was massive international. So Japan, Korea, Europe, everywhere. It was this massive popular event. And so the whole concept of Sword Art Online is this kind with the Augma is a little bit kind of similar. It's augmented reality, so it's kind of you put on this headset with your friends, and instead of a full dive what the Nerve gear was, the Augma allowed you to go on these special events when you were playing with your friends. So you and your friends could go out and just these groups and you actually run and stuff like that. You're actually doing physical activity to actually fight all these there'd be these special pop-up bosses, and there was a really cool system kind of built into it too, because it was based off points, and if you were if you scored X amount of points, you get these really cool discounts within the game. And it was this kind of group, you go out with your friends or a group of people, and you just go out and you do these kind of battles, and you just get these big events to where you try to beat bosses and stuff. Obviously, it's different from catch a Pokemon, but it had that same kind of energy to where oh yeah, you're going to grow up with a group of people in an augmented reality and go fight these these holographic monsters, and a lot of them were former Sao bosses. So you had there was just that right time. It just hit at the right time to where I think that was a big factor. And not that the marketing they did a phenomenal job, because I remember I can't tell you how many times leading up to it, how many times I watched that trailer. I was so happy. It was new Sword Art Online content. The last content we had was season 2, ended on a great note. We're rumors were abound Sword Art Online season 3 is coming. Let's go. So it's just everyone was super excited because there was a rumor that it connected to Sword Art Online season 3, and there was just all this hype behind it. It was such a good time, man. I remember anyone who saw it in theaters, let me know if you had a similar experience. I remember, man, just all the moments in the there's so many moments in the movie where like everyone just cheered, like every time that, like when Kirito got beat and when he was going ham and fighting Nautilus. And he was like, like that moment when he gets blocked by Yui at the end when they're trying to have their date. That moment when he goes to see her when she's losing. Like, there were so many moments like the crowd was just really engaged with the film, and it's just, even now it's hard to find that in a movie. But like the crowd I saw, and again, it was packed. It is the only anime movie I've seen in theaters that was packed out, that was completely sold out like that. I had no clue. I showed up. I with the hype that there was, I expected the theater to be like more than half full, but I was shocked to find that, wow, this is actually sold out. And so again, the marketing did a great job. The theme song was an absolute banger. The one that's sung by Yuna and the one that played throughout the trailer, that song's still a banger. I still kind of listen to it on Spotify every now and then. So it had this massive momentum that pushed, and it made a shit ton of money. Like, man, oh man, it's depressing just to talk about. You look how much money Ordinal Scale made, which is phenomenal, opposed to like what Aria of a Starless Night and unfortunately Scared So Deep Night, that I wish that film made more money. It's so sad it didn't. But I'll get to that later. But it was such a massive success for the series, and they basically made it canon, like in a way, because I remember in Sword Line Season 3 in War of the Underworld, Yuna and Nautilus show up, and I thought it was cool. I actually thought the idea of the characters of Nautilus and Yuna was really, really cool. Actually, they were really good characters. They had an interesting story where Nautilus was a former Knights of the Blood who kind of saw himself as a coward who wasn't able to save Yuna. And she was like this beautiful songstress who just wanted to sing and do art and everything, but she got killed, and it was like he always blamed himself for not being strong enough. So he had this inferiority complex like around a lot of the Knights of the Blood, like Asuna and whatnot, that he wasn't strong enough. So it was just, you had this really strong characters, and like you had a really cool premise of the Augma. You had like what the groups got. You had this cool system that even from the protagonist standpoint, like this Asuna is just, she's Sao's best girl, and she's one of anime's best girl. So Asuna was literally playing Augma, and she got the Augma just to get Kirito a gift. Like, that's how much of a best girl she is. Like, she literally was like, I want to get him a really cool gift, so I'm gonna grind out on this new technology to help do it for him. Because Kirito, you see, he prefers full dive because it's just a more immersive experience. To where Augma was kind of like the normie kind of like kind of thing, but not in a bad way. But it's just, it wasn't as in depth and like a full dive into like a new world, like the Nerve Gear or the new system was. So like they kept talking about it, and like Kirito was just like grimacing the whole time, because he just doesn't care about it, and he's like, oh, and like full dive is better than this bullshit. But man, what a ride! Like the whole premise of like, I mean, you don't think about it too much. Let's be honest. Like, you're not gonna be those people. If you think about the plot for too much, it's like, oh, does that really make sense? But it doesn't care. It's entertaining and it's great. Because like it's basically like Indy's going around to all the different Sword Art Online characters, like Klein and his guild, and like all the other players, and they're trying to get as many memories from the Sword Art Online players to kind of like build like a new personality, like in an artificial. Well, it doesn't make that much sense, but it doesn't have to. It's really cool. Like, I mean, it's just like it's entertaining. It's like, oh, okay, cool. It's like it creates like a real threat, and then what I mean by that, like Sao didn't really have a real threat, like in Sao Season 2. It's like, oh, okay, Death Gun. It's like, I guess it's like a crazy guy going around in GGO, but they weren't really. It wasn't like a threat like in the virtual kind of reality kind of space, but like this one, it's enough of a threat where like, oh, like if freaking Nautilus beats him, then like yeah, like your memories get stolen. It's like, oh, so whatever. And then you see Asuna get her memory stolen, and it's just it's heartbreaking because it matters more to people. It's just certain people in the game you could probably kind of understand why that would probably be a good thing. A lot of people probably had a major PTSD from the game, but there are a lot of people like Asuna and Kirito, like whose life that it changed. While some aspects not great, you could argue for the better, because that's where Asuna met Kirito at. That's where she she changed so much for the better as a person. She became more confident. She kind of developed a little bit more into a leader from the things that she had to do in the game. And then it's just, again, that's where she fell in love at. And, it's just like those memories kind of get taken for her. And, like, it's kind of heartbreaking the first time you see it. Like, when Kirito kind of drops Asuna off at her place. And, like, she's like, oh, do you remember the first time we met? And it's just, Kirito's like, yeah, like, looks at him weird. Like, just kind of seems like I didn't give a fuck. But I was like, okay. And then, like, you see Asuna go home that night, and then she has a dream where, like, she's chasing him, and, like, he just turns around and says, who are you? And then she wakes up, and she just forgets, in, like, that moment when she invites him, and she doesn't remember anything. It's heartbreaking. Because she doesn't want to forget. Like, she went through some horrible things in there, like many people did, but there were moments, they would justify that it was worth it. They changed for the better, or they found friends, and Asuna and Kirito's placed their soulmates to where it was worth them. Again, those memories mean a lot, even the bad ones. So it's like, and it's more heartbreaking when you see that, like, she's forgetting everything and she's in the hospital. And man, the Kirito and Asuna stuff in this movie is absolutely solid. Like, man, that moment when Kirito, like, after he goes to that lecture from the professor, like, who's one of the antagonists, who's helping Nautilus, like, he's Yuna's father. He goes to a lecture. He goes off to go visit Asuna at her place, and she's just like he goes there and he reads her diary, like I'm slowly losing my memories, and I don't want to forget him. And they just, oh man, where he just breaks down. It's, oh man, it hits you in the feels, and that beautiful ending where they finally go on their date under the star. Oh man, but gets cock blocked by Yui, but it's okay. But it's sweet. It's really it's wholesome. It's wholesome, and that's what we're here for. The absolute, it's not even just the great ending that you get with Kirito and Asuna and that scene of them together, and they finally get to have their date they promised each other when they were in Aincrad. But that awesome ending, you finally get this one kind of throws you for a loop. You're kind of just like, what the shit? Like, you see one of the final bosses of the Ruby Palace, which is like one of the strongest bosses in the game. And because they're like recreating like a lot of the old SAO bosses, like that they have kind of data on, and that, bro, you're looking at this boss like you thought the Bone Reaper was bad from from episode 12. Good lord, man, the boss in the Ruby Palace is. Man, that hacks is shit. Like, she has like a thing. It has like a thing. It shoots all these different types of magic. It has all like fire, wind, ice, and like all these other different magics that can attack multiple people at once. Super strong, can like nearly one hit you. Has a broken ass ability where it goes and heals itself to complete full health. They end up destroying the tree, but man, you're just like, dude, maybe it's a good thing that they beat Kayaba early on, because that motherfucker would have killed. That would have been like a floor 25 incident from like Progressive and Sword Art Online, like an Aincrad, where like most of the team gets wiped out, because there's no way going in blind and knowing you're gonna die that like there's no way most of the raiding party would have made it past the thing. The thing would have killed at least half of them. You're just like, God damn, like it's just like the thing was broken as shit, but they end up beating it, and man, it's just like the concert's going on as the freaking boss. Man, it's good shit. Oh, it was so good, man. And it's depressing to kind of like to kind of look back on it and realize how much momentum like Sword Art Online had as a series. And kind of where it's at now, because I mean, if you're an avid fan, you probably agree it's in a slump right now. I just don't. It's not popular really anymore. It gets more hate than love. I've noticed that with people like at work and stuff like that. Like it's when they talk about anime, like I'll notice like they'll talk about like the new shonen shows, but it's just like they all, every time you mention Sword Art Online, it's like a disgust, like. Which didn't used to be that way. Like everyone else, that used to be their first kind of thing. Now it's just like it doesn't have that same level of excitement anymore about it. Which is a massive shame, because I think that Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale had a really cool bridging moment to where like it set up Wrath and Sword Art Online Season 3, and everyone got so like excited about it. And it's kind of depressing, because it's like, in my opinion, Sword Art Online Season 3, both Alicization and War of the Underworld, is Sword Art Online's best content. And you can comment if you kind of agree with this. I feel like it kind of was a dud. It came out at a weird time. COVID was going on during World of the Underworld, if I remember right, when it kind of fully released. It just didn't feel like it really got much traction. And it's like I can't like criticize. I'm not criticizing anyway, but it's just like, because I remember I dropped it halfway through Alicization just because it was such a slow burn. And just like, of course, when I went back and rewatched it last year, Sword Art Online Alicization and War of the Underworld are some of my favorite seasons and are some of my favorite anime seasons of all time, and they're definitely my favorite pieces of SAO content. But it's especially War of the Underworld, but it felt like for as ham as A1 went on War of the Underworld, and as good as War of the Underworld and Alicization was for being Sword Art Online's best content, it never really got much traction. And I don't know. It just feels like its time in the kind of spotlight kind of has faded a little bit. And it's like you see that kind of with Sword Art Online. You saw it with Sword Art Online, Aria of a Starless Night, and Scherzo of Deep Night. Like, they did well in Japan. From what I remember, they both opened number one at the box office there. They were successful. But, like, internationally, it wasn't good. Like, I think Aria of a Starless Night broke more than 1 million. I don't think Scherzo of Deep Night did, which always upset me because Scherzo of Deep Night was such a better film than Aria of Starless Night, just because Aria of Starless Night added Mito, and like what I mean by they added Mito is they cut out Floor 2, which would have been new content, and there was a lot of cool stuff that happened in Floor 2 that they just completely cut out, and it's just like Scherzo of Deep Night was new content. You got to see a new floor boss, how the guilds kind of progress, and like the deepening relationship between Kirito and Asuna, and you see her get to grow a little bit more. You see them both grow a little bit more, and it's just like they didn't do that well, like, and it was sad for me to see they kind of, from where Ordinal Scale was, because Ordinal Scale like opened pretty high at the box office internationally and both in Japan and I remember in the United States. It did crazy well, but it just, I don't know, it feels like so much of that momentum's gone, and it's just like I don't know. I have a little bit of hope. So rumors are abound. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed at this point that they are making a new anime original for Sword Art Online, like a new movie, kind of like Ordinal Scale was. Ordinal Scale was so damn popular they basically made it canon anyway. So like it's just like I'm pretty sure the A1's working on a new film. I'm hoping it kind of can reignite that spark, because it's just like I feel like if there was something to renew interest in Sword Art Online and more people went back and watched season 3. I know Aria of a Starless Night's on Crunchyroll, and I think that Scherzo of Deep Night probably will be later this year. I'm still waiting for the Blu-ray to be announced domestically, but we'll see. Well, I know it's coming out in Japan like this month. I'm hoping it comes out here. The Blu-ray comes out here for Scherzo probably. I'm hoping by at least September, because I'm excited to own that one. I love that movie. But point is, I'm hoping that new film kind of can capture that momentum again. I feel like anything just to go have that momentum going again to kind of drive people back into Sword Art Online and kind of into where they would watch season 3. Because I feel like, again, that season 3, A1 put a lot of work into that, and it's just like you can tell how ham they went in War of the Underworld and how good the content was in Alicization and War of the Underworld. And I just feel like it never gained that much traction, and it's just like it's so sad because it's solid. If you love Sword Art Online season 1. Sword Art Online Season 3 takes the best of what you love the most out of Seasons 1 and amplifies it. And it's a better version. I feel like it could garner more interest in it. But I'm hoping that this sounds like depressing and nihilistic, and pessimistic, I should say, but it's not. I think that Sword Art Online still has life in it. It does, and I'm excited. I still love the series. I buy the light novels. The progressive light novels are great. Haven't caught up on Utenal Ring yet, but it's just like Utenal Ring still has a little bit to go, because the basic consensus that kind of, from what I've read and kind of what people have caught up, no one knows what the shit's going on. So it's just like that's got a ways to go. But I'm excited that A1 is making another Sword Art Online movie. It kind of shows that they have some still interest in it. I'm happy at least that Scherzo of Deep Night opened well in Japan, to where it still has interest in it. As for the future of the series, I still plan that. So I've done all the content at this point. I'm not done with it completely. So if a new progressive novel comes out, I'll be sure to buy it and kind of go over it here on the channel. I would do that for progressive. Just go over the new light novel. I thought the 8th light novel was really cool. I mean, you got casinos and dragons. Like it was absolutely good. But I'm hoping when 9 comes out, I'll definitely go and do a video on it and kind of go over it. And definitely when the new anime film gets announced, I'll kind of go over it. I know that it's official, it's being made. I'm hoping to God it doesn't get canceled. But I'm hoping that when it gets announced, I'll probably make a video about it where it could be. I kind of expect it. It's kind of iffy because I expect it to be a bridge, kind of like Ordinal Scale was, where it's like a soft opening to season 3. You kind of get to see Wrath there at the end. I'm hoping that film, the new one, will be kind of a soft opening to Utenal Ring, but we'll see. I'm hoping it can kind of recapture that hype. But let me know what y'all thought. Did you see Ordinal Scale in theater, and was it packed? Like, was your theater packed? Was like mine was. More importantly, like when you were seeing it, was like I remember in theater there's so many moments where everyone was just cheering, like, oh man, like I missed that. I'm hoping. I'm not giving up hope. I still think that Sword Art Online has good days ahead of it, and I think it can kind of capture that momentum again. But here's to hoping. All right, guys, that's all I got for this one. I will see you guys in the next one. As for the next thing I'm working on, I'm probably gonna go over. Eden Zero. I really want to start. I've already finished. I finished season 1 a long time ago, but I'm gonna rewatch it. Do a video going over first season of Eden Zero, and then catch up to Eden Zero, and kind of wait for the first core of season 2 to be done, and then make a video about that too, because I need to rewatch it again before I start that. But let me know what y'all's thoughts are on the current state of Sword Art Online 2, and do you kind of see? I mean, do you agree that it still has better days ahead of it? I think it's pretty. That momentum, I think we can agree, is right now is in a slum, but I think it can get better. And you're excited for the new anime film. I know I am. I'm still glad A1's working on it. Well, that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.